We were there when the first spot XRP ETF went live in Canada not long ago on June 18th. What's crazy is that because of that first XRP ETF launch, another one happened, and now there are three. The hashtags, one in April here in Brazil, and the first XRP ETF now here. It's the one that was promised, or at least was meant to be. But by the way, I want to talk about this again in a moment. It's also cool that the XRP ETF market is starting to really open up. I want you all to know what this really means. Is unique because it's an official XRP ETF ad for big investors, not regular people. A safe and effective way to get into XRP's growth potential is to invest in the next generation of global payment systems. To get into XRP's growth potential, you can buy an ETF that holds XRP directly. This will give you safe, controlled exposure to global payment innovation, the strong blockchain technology behind the XRP ledger, and the fact that more and more banks around the world are starting to use XRP will likely change how cross-border payments are made in the future. Gemini and Coinbase are two of the custodians, and Ernst & Young also checks this out. What's crazy is that this is an ad for an ETF to big investors, in which they talk about how a quick and safe way to get XRP and how this is basically a very powerful blockchain technology that's letting banks all over the world use it to make cross-border payments, not only in the wholesale market, but also with institutions. XRP is really taken off. I love that they have this chart of XRP's past success down here, because everyone is always saying how badly XRP's been doing and how XRP is this and that. Take a look at how XRP has changed since July 2020 and compare it to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. No, but I don't think XRP is broken, and I don't think we need to worry about its price right now. It's crazy that this is an ad telling us how big. Not only does this change show how important XRP is, but 3IQ also makes history again. We're happy to say that the 3IQ XRP ETF, which has more than one XRP ETF, XRPQ is what you need. You officially became a company this week when XRPQ started trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Our team joined the TSX team to close the market and ring the bell at the TMX Money. We've reached a major milestone, and the digital asset business as a whole has also taken a big step forward as we keep building together. Exciting times lie ahead. I mean, this is really, really exciting. You could say that these big ETF moves and announcements don't really matter because XRP's price is still going in this direction, or because it's still trading at this price. I want you all to understand what's going on. The market is opening up to institutions. The push for XRP in countries other than the US is very important. I keep saying outside of the US because we already know that the SEC is still taking too long to make a decision about the Franklin Templeton job. The XRP ETF starts on July 22nd. Did you know that this means we now have 3 XRP ETFs? I think the 3IQ one includes 3 more ETFs, but I could be wrong. I know that 1 or 2 ETFs were already trading in Canada, but all of these ETFs have now been released. So what are they still waiting for? Futures are one of them. There are already a lot of countries behind this, like Canada and Brazil. It wouldn't surprise me at all if even more ETFs were announced around XRP around the world. Singapore is really getting my attention because we all know that XRP is a big deal there. South Korea would also be very big, which is why we'll be watching. Also, Paul Groh, the chief legal officer of SLO of Coinbase, wrote a great post to remind everyone of what happened with Bitcoin in the beginning. As a reminder, today is the first day that Canadians can trade. The 3IOX clear regulations are what will drive innovation in 2021. It was Canada that had the first Bitcoin ETF. After 3 years, Canada had the first Bitcoin ETF in the world. It's time for the US to catch up and pass laws about how the crypto market works. Also, this is a very important point to remember, Bitcoin didn't get an ETF in the US until many years later. It had been 3 years since Canada had the first Bitcoin ETF in the world. First, futures don't really matter when it comes to the base asset because they don't hold the Bitcoin itself, but spot does change the volume of the base asset, which is why no one cares about futures ETFs. People only care about spot ones. I agree with you that the US should stop. There is a lot of talk about how the US will win and how Trump, Scott Bisman, and David Sachs are all in on crypto. Now is the time to take charge. You should make this XRP ETF spot trading live in the US right away. Since it's already live in other countries, you should also give the extra ETFs based on old coins the green light. Trading futures ETFs in the US when an XRP futures ETF is already dealing without a spot on top of that, though. Also, this is from Anderson. Imagine if hundreds of institutions did the same thing as the ones in the pictures below when they started holding billions of dollars worth of XRP directly. It wasn't just about the amount of payments it has. With the fact that many companies own XRP, I get it. A lot of people aren't ready yet. We talk a lot about what we can't change and how good some things are. The changes that have been made to XRP this year are very important to pay attention to, since it's hard for most people to get 10,000 XRP right now. Imagine having 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, or 50,000 XRP. Some of these prices are too high to buy right now. I say this because I think that XRP will eventually be too expensive for many small buyers. A lot of people say things like, well, you could always buy one XRP for this price or that price. That's right. Buying one XRP now means keeping a lot of money. Wibis is one of the companies that has asked the SEC to handle $300 million, 0 cents in XRP. Trident also announced a $500 million, 0 cents plan to fund XRP Treasury and named Chain Securities LLC as the project strategy advisor. Okay, so that's $800 million, 0 cents just from these two companies. You'll know that there are others like Viva with $121 million, 0 cents, and Gistix with $50 million, 0 cents. More and more companies are putting out XRP reserves, and they are starting to pile up. If you look at all of Ripple's partners, you'll see that many of them are big names in business. Standard Chartered has already put money into Ripple. SBI has also been a partner of Ripple for a long time.